Hello everyone, so welcome back. So in the previous video we have discussed about the pipelines and activities, right? So in this video let's discuss about the link service and the data sets. Okay, so let's revise like whatever we have done. Okay, so we know like about the data factory pipelines, right? So we understood what is pipeline. So pipeline is defined as a logical group of activities to perform a piece of work, right? And when we talk about the logical group of activities, so basically when I say activities, so activities are processing steps, okay, so that perform each individual task, right? And this component supports data movement, data transformations and other control activities, and the activities can be executed in both sequential and the parallel manner, right? So this is what the data set is. Okay, so and of course one pipeline can have one or more activities which you have seen. Okay, so Azure Data Factory activities. Okay, so of course we can represent a processing step in parallel pipelines, and actions to perform on data could be ingest the data, that is to copy the data, or we can just transform the data, or we can just store the data, and can be linked execute. So the we can execute sequentially or we can just run in parallel, right? So some of the activity types, right? So one is data movement activity, so we can just copy the data from the data stores located on premises and in the cloud. Okay, some of the data stores include Blob Storage, Cosmos DB, Amazon Redshift, right? So, and we have a transformation activities, okay, so where we can just transform and enrich the data from Spark, Databricks, Hive, right? And control activities, okay, so like for each web, this is what the control flow is, okay. So, when we talk about the data flow, okay, so basically there are special types of activities that allow data engineers to develop a data transformation logic visuals, okay, without writing a code, okay. So this is what the data flows is. Okay, when I just go, so here we have a data flow. Even under the under the development section, and even we have something called data flows. Okay, so these are the special types of activities. Okay, so as I told you, so where the data engineers used to develop a data transformation logic visually without writing any code here. Okay, so they are executed inside the Azure Data Factory pipelines on the Azure Database clusters, okay, for scaled out processing using Spark. Okay, so here we have a two process. Okay, so you can see, so data flow is a new feature of Azure Data Factory that allows to develop a graphical data transformation logic that can be executed as follows. Okay, it can be a mapping or a wrangling. Okay, so now in this video let's try to understand what is data sets. Okay, and how we can just have the linked services to this particular data set, because when we're talking about data sets, of course we need to have the linked services. Okay, always try to compare with the analogy. Okay, it will be very easy to remember it. Okay, so as I told you, so data sets are basically for example, for like now, like for the movement of for the movement or for the transformation of the data, you need to specify the data configuration settings, right? So a data set can compromise of the database tables or a file name, folder structure, or it could be anything. And moreover, every data set refers to the linked service. So whenever we are talking about the data survey or data sets, okay, we are talking, even we should have the link services. Okay, so what are link services? So as a prerequisite step, okay, before connecting a data source, okay, so we create a connection string, right? So the linked services act like a connection strings in SQL server. Okay, if you're taking an example, a data source as an SQL server as an example, okay, so they contain information about the data sources and services. Okay, the requesting then identity connects to the data source using this linked service or connection strings. Okay, so this is what the link service. Okay, let's try to do a hands on it. Okay, then we'll come to this. Okay, so here if I just go here, okay, um so when I try to expand here, okay, so one second, yeah. Okay, so once I just try to see under the authors tab, okay, we have something called data sets. Okay, so right now I can just create a new data set from here, right? Or else, for example, if I'm just performing some activity like copy data, right? So you can see like here I need to give the source. Okay, so from here also I can just create a new data set. Okay, so for example, so now we are talking about data sets. Now let's go and create a new data set. Okay, so as I told you, so to create a new data set, you can see like again here we have a different options available. Like this is the all Azure options. Okay, where I can just connect to the data set. Okay, so this is the related to databases, this is the files. Okay, so this is the generic protocol, no SQL and services and the different apps. Okay, so this is where from where we can just create a new data set. Okay, you can see in pipeline activities and data flows, reference to data set specify the location and structure of your data within the data store. Okay, So before creating a new data set, as I told you, so we should create a linked services. Okay, so to create a linked services, okay, before that we'll add some data into the so in this demo, what we'll do is we'll go with this um, Azure Blob Storage. Okay, so for the Blob Storage, let's add some value and then we'll continue with this. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just open the new tab here. I'll just go to the storage accounts. Okay, so let's go and create a Blob Storage. So I'll just choose the existing storage name. I'll give iNeuron storage. Okay. Uh, so region East US, I'll go with the standard or premium to have a low latency. Okay, so let's go and click and review and create. So it's running the final final validation. So let's go and click on create. Okay, so deployment is complete. Okay, so I'll just go to the resource. Okay, so here let's go to the container. Okay, so let's add a container, and the container name I'll just give iNeuron blob. Okay, so here, okay, so let's click on create. Okay, so under this, let's upload a file. I have some not this. I'll go to downloads. I have one Avengers data. Okay, so I'll just try to upload this. It's a CSV file. Okay, you can just upload some data. Okay, so don't, it's not like you need to apply the same data or something like that. Okay, so you can just try with the other data sets as well. Okay. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so we have added a file under the blob storage, that is Avengers. Okay, so now if I right now I'm here. Okay, so as I told you, so before creating a new data set, so I need to create a link services. Okay, to create a link services, okay, so what you can do is just go to the manage section. So under the manage section, we have something called link services. Let's go and create a new link service. Okay, so as I told you, so I'm creating a link service for the storage, Azure storage blob. Okay, blob storage. Okay, so let's click on continue. Okay, so here I'll just keep same name, there's Azure Blob Storage 1. Okay, so you can just provide the description, and we have a connect through integration runtime. Okay, which will have a separate video to understand integration runtime. You can see, so integration runtime is the compute infrastructure used by the data factory to provide a data integration capabilities across the different network environments. Okay, so we have a different here we have like auto resolve integration runtime, which is automatically which is default created which is set by the Azure. Okay, so even you can just create it. Okay, here authentication method, we have a key. Okay, account key, we have a service principal, manage identity. So let's keep it simple, that is account key. If you have the connection string, can just choose if you have just stored in the Azure key wallet, you can just choose that. I'll just use this connection string. Okay, so from Azure subscription. Okay, so here I'll just choose the subscription, and the storage account name is iNeuron storage 123, which I've just created, right? So so let's keep it everything default. Okay, so let's go and click on create. Okay, so you can see, so a linked service has been created, that is Azure Blob Storage one. This is my linked service, right? So let's now go to the author. Okay, so now let's go to the dataset. Under the dataset, I'll just create a new dataset. Okay, so we have in the first step, what we have done, we have created a link service, right? So in the link service, that is a, so we have seen the pipeline, right? So I'll just show you that. Okay, so we have seen this pipeline, right? So we have a data set and we have a link service. Okay, so all the connection details. Okay, so similarly we are just so we have to integrate, we have to connect with this. Okay, so we have done that with done with this link service. Now we'll go for the data set, right? So if I just go to the data set, so I'll just look for Azure Blob Storage. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so we are uploading a CSV file. I'm just selecting that. Okay, so here it's text. Okay, so link service, you can see, so I need to select the link service. So our link service name is Azure Blob Storage 1. Okay, so here I need to give the file path name. Okay, so if I just select the file path name, okay, so I'll be redirected. Okay, where I need to select the folder. Okay, this is the ineuron blob which I've just created. Under this we have this data. Okay, so I just click OK. Okay, so here everything is set. Okay, of course we have a first row as header. So let's click OK. Okay, so you can see, so our data set has been created. Okay, so you can see all the connection details here. Okay, so and you can see the file path. Okay, so even this is the compression type. Okay, so after uploading, if you want to change it, like whether it's semicolon or pipe or tab, okay, or anything, okay, you can just change it. Right now it's comma. Okay, so this is what you can just see here. Okay, so if you want to preview the data, let's click on preview data. Okay, you can see this is what my data is. Okay, so this is what my data. Okay, so now under the pipelines, okay, so you can see, like I want to copy data. This is my one of the activity, right? So you can see under this we have a general. So here I can source, I can just try to add those particular file here, that is delimited text one, right? So this is what our data, right? So under the data sets also we have one data, that is delimited text one, right? So this is you can see this is the name which it's created by default, like, or else you can just change this name, right? So this is how we create a data sets, first link services, then the data sets. Okay, so this is what, okay, data set is just simply a point or reference to the data, and the reference data which is used in the activity. It could be files, folder, documents, or tables. Okay, so what are link services? So link services are similar to the connection string. Okay, so which represents the connection information to connect to the external resources, like data source like Azure SQL Server, or compute resource like we have a Spark cluster, right? So this is how it's basically gets connected with the data set. Okay, so I hope you understood. Okay, so we have covered the pipelines and activities component, and linked services, and the data sets. Okay, so let's try to understand about the integration runtime in the next video.